Okay, yesterday I got a little hard time because on the show yesterday I mentioned that I had given my wife a birthday present once that said, "Married at last, now I can get fat."
Yes, and I'm glad we're talking about this because my mom was watching the show.
Oh, no.
She had it on in the background but was doing a few other things, and she called me and said, "Tell me Darren did not say, after I got married, my wife got fat." And I said, no.
No.
I calmed her feathers and said, no, Darren would never say that.
No, I didn't. It was just a t-shirt. It was a joke because she's not at all fat. And she didn't like get fat after we got married or anything like that. So she's still the same as she was. Am I getting in trouble? I'm trying to.
You're nervous.
I'm getting myself out of this here.
Just say she's beautiful.
She's beautiful.
Yes, she is.
In fact, a little bit later in the show, you might get a glimpse of her because her birthday's coming up and we need your help on something. But that's a whole separate topic completely. And I'm trying to get out of this because I really didn't say she. I didn't say she, but she's beautiful. That's all I'm going to say.
Yes,
she's beautiful.
Go with that.
Yeah, that's all I'm going to say right there. That's it. Okay. But it got us to start talking. We started thinking about sometimes husbands and wives, they say things to each other that they don't really, you shouldn't say after a while. You know, after you've been married, you're comfortable, you say things.
There are some forbidden phrases that should not be said, right?
Never say that. That's why we loved it when we heard this song by comedian Tim Hawkins. We had to share part of it with you.
Hey honey, have you gained some weight in your rear end? The dress you wear reminds me of my old girlfriend. And where'd you get those shoes? I think they're pretty lame. Would you stop talking, cause I'm trying to watch the game? If you're a man who wants to live a long and happy life, these are the things you don't say to your wife.
Yeah, long and happy life is right.
Yeah, that wasn't us. Actually, relationship coach Matt Townsend turned us on to this song. He's the one who heard it there.
Darren said like 6 of those things. Oh, by the way, your wife wanted one of my cards.
Oh, yeah. She does. She said many times, I'm getting a hold of that Matt someday. He is going to... Oh, yeah.
There's just some things you don't say. Darren.
I didn't say any of those things.
It doesn't matter. Say it. It's out there. There's a rule. It's on TV. Yeah, at least you didn't say it on TV.
Yeah.
Rule is you can't talk your way out of something you behaved your way into. Did you see Darren trying to talk his way out of what he said yesterday?
Yes, with his hands.
Doesn't work.
I do that all
and he
the
used his
time.
hands a lot. Like that was going to help.
You can tell he's in big trouble when his hands start flying.
The faster they move and the higher they get.
It's like the backstroke I'm doing there, too. Like, get me out of this thing. Yeah.
This is a big deal, because every couple, I think, deals with this idea that we're not quite on our game like we used to be. Don't you think?
Yeah.
Everybody gets a little, you know, maybe out of shape, maybe not feeling as good about themselves.
We let it go a little.
We let it go a little bit. And there's a lot of reasons. Babies, wives having babies, that might be a big deal. Guys watching wives having babies. I gained 15 pounds every time we had a baby. Just that sympathy eating.
Yes, it just piles on, doesn't it?
And then everybody bringing you casseroles. But this is a pretty big deal. Now, there's a couple things you don't do. Let me just give some ladies advice. Things my wife does when, like, let's just say, because I don't, but let's say that I had a little extra weight around the waist.
Just
hypothetically, because it's never happened with this rock hard body. But if it were to happen, my wife, this is what you don't do. You don't like ever grab the actual fat and say, wow, cute, and jiggle it. You don't do that. Okay, rule number 1, don't touch and make comments.
Don't jiggle.
Rule number 2, if you're a guy,
yeah,
and somebody says, like the wife says, honey, do I look fat in this? You never say, well, fatter than what? Bad.
It's all relative.
Okay, so there's just 2 quick rules, but I have a few more. Those are all the ones I failed at, okay? Yeah. Sorry, sue me. One of the keys to this is...
I'm still picturing you jiggling the fat there.
Yeah, so well, I wasn't jiggling it. She was jiggling it. And then she's like, wow, where'd that come from? Anyway, it was rude, but, you know.
Even you didn't follow it up with, do I look fat in this?
Yeah, well, no. Well, and it's the last time I wore spandex, quite honestly.
Okay, good.
Anyway, one rule to all of this. In fact, I use a metaphor. Anytime I'm trying to get somebody to do something that they don't maybe want to do, like a gardener, or like my kids doing something they don't want to do, I think of a gardener metaphor. It's a crazy metaphor, but here's the idea. If I want to get seeds to grow, I have to do certain things for the seed, but the seed's the one responsible for the growth, right? the seed's the one that has to grow. As a gardener, all I can do is create the right conditions, understand the seed and what it needs, and create the conditions. If I'm trying to get my wife to lose weight, she's still the one that has to do it.
Yeah.
And one of the things that happens is, and this is one of the first rules I teach, is make sure when you're trying to influence someone that they know that you're committed to them. Stay committed to them as a person. Don't make this about their weight. Don't make this about how they look. Don't make this about how healthy or unhealthy they are, or about how they look. Make it about their health. Honey, I love you. I want to be with you a long time. I'm committed to you forever, whatever we do here, but I'd love to have you healthy. So make sure that they understand that you're committed no matter what. Some people I've found, we kind of do a little takeaway, or like when our partner's not looking as good as they ought to and we've tried everything we can, we start getting mad and pulling away and maybe going to exercise without them, or no longer inviting them, or not caring anymore, or being frustrated with it. So rule number 1, stay committed, show you're committed. Rule number 2, really get into your partner. The best way to figure out how to influence them is to get into them. You can't meet a need you don't understand. I can't help my partner if I don't understand why she's maybe gaining weight, why things are happening like that. Part of it is most of us kind of assume a lot of times that if my wife's gaining weight, it's because she's lazy, she's tired, she's depressed. There's a variety of reasons why people gain weight.
By the way, Matt, I just want to make sure we don't have every woman in the entire state mad at us. Same thing happens with women, with men. Matt, just because Matt's making references, because we're speaking from a male perspective. We're speaking from a male,
exactly. Yeah. I tried to speak from a female perspective, and it never works for me.
I'm just picturing I'm going to really be in trouble. Okay.
By the way, your wife did call. But part of this is, like, for example, when my wife is trying to work and influence me, my wife's like the most disciplined person in the world. She's up at 6, and she's like, man, I know you got a lot to do. I know you're writing that thing. I know you're doing this. I know you're doing this. Why don't you just get up at 5:30 then and come exercise with me? I have never thought of getting up at 5:30 to exercise. I'd rather, quite honestly, die than get up at 5:30 to go exercise. So if she wants to get me to exercise, she's going to have to find a way to get into me to exercise my way.
She has to understand
me, which is basically, I'll run a mile, you give me a Twinkie. I run 2 miles, you give me a ding-dong. It's pretty simple. Motivation. Rule number 3 is create the right conditions for optimal growth. If you want to influence your partner, you've got to make sure the conditions around the family and the life are conducive to healthy living.
Like what?
Like, get rid of the junk food. Or make sure you have time in your day to go on the walks. My wife and I used to walk every single day when we were first married. For our first couple kids, we were walking every night together. Then our lives changed and we're busier at night, and now we don't walk as much. So part of it is create the optimal condition. If you want to create a relationship where you're going to have a healthy lifestyle, then you've got to make time for it, place for it, make sure you learn how to do it, read some books about how to create the optimal experience. Okay. Rule number 4, feed it. Feed the seed, I say.
Ding-dongs, Twinkies?
Ding-dongs, Twinkies, anything with polysaturated fats. No. Feed it, meaning I found most of the time there's about an 80% to 20% rule. 80% of the time most of us are doing what's right. 20% of the time we're blowing it. But most of the time we don't focus on what we're doing right, we focus on where we're blowing it. One of the big rules to any motivation is to make sure we find what's working. Find when it's going well. So every day with that person that you want to motivate to try to change, I would try to actually talk less about it, but I'd always point out when they're doing it great. Honey, thanks so much for doing that. Man, that was a great dinner. That was a healthy dinner. Thanks for inviting me to go out to walk. Thanks for going with me walking. Find and appreciate the things that they are doing right. It's much more likely to motivate them. And the last rule is never give up. Last thing people need is to have their partner give up on them, especially on something as healthy as their own health. None of us feel real good when we're unhealthy or when we don't look good. And when my partner gives up on how bad I look, who's going to care then?
Yeah.
So I need that help. And don't say those silly things.
Yeah, and I never said them. I never said them.
Focus, brother. Focus.
Don't even put it on a T-shirt and wrap it with a bow. No.
You're in
but
trouble.
I have your card anyway.
Yeah. You need. We'll do some serious intervention.
Ooh. Yeah. We need that. Hey, thanks, Matt.
Here to serve.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it. And of course, Darren has his website, but you can get in touch with the Townsend Relationship Center at their website as well, marriagemattersutah.com. We'll post a link there on our website as well for you.
And of course, you can always listen to Matt every Saturday at the Matt Townsend Show on KSL Radio.
It's the easiest show. 11 o'clock to noon. We'll be talking.
Sure about that?
I just had to think about it. But we'll be talking more about this Saturday.
Okay, good.
How do you influence people?
My wife isn't one of the guests or anything, is she?
Well, we have a surprise guest that I'm not going to mention.
Uh-oh.
But her husband is in the media.
Yes, tune in to that on Saturday. Matt, thanks.
Thank you.
And still ahead.